Good day, folks. Everything new under the sun, October 30th, 2017. The petrodollar's biggest challengers. This is speaking of the only thing that is keeping the United States as a world power as it stands right now. So there have been fiat currency systems through the history of man, the last number of hundreds of years anyways. There's always been a world reserve currency. There's always been superpowers. There's always a superpower existing at one particular time. As one superpower goes down, the next one comes up. And right now the U.S. is the world's superpower based on the petrodollar. A petrodollar is the agreement by the nations, the oil-producing nations in the U.S., to sell oil in U.S. dollars. That means people have to have U.S. dollars. That means U.S. dollars are needed by people if they want to, like I say, buy and sell oil. And that makes the U.S. all-powerful. That means they can print money out of thin air. That means it doesn't have to be backed by anything. As long as the countries of the world agree that the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency, and it's basically an agreement, then they can continue being a superpower. That is quickly coming to a close. And I think this leads to the biblical end times related to the world government. Once the United States falls as the world superpower, the world government can come into power and be the next superpower, basically. We're not going to have another country. China's not going to become the next superpower. I don't think there's enough time for that left in biblical prophecy. Established in the 1970s, the petrodollar has secured the United States' influence over the oil trade for 40 years, but recently it's clear that the monopoly is slowly beginning to fall apart. In some part due to influence of Bitcoin and other emerging cryptocurrencies. Due to the plumbing value of the dollar, the debt from the Vietnam War, and the excessive domestic spending, Nixon abruptly pulled out of the Bretton Woods Accord, which pegged the dollar to the price of gold. So now it's not pegged to anything. Now they can print money out of thin air. Now they can get as much debt as they want. They have like 21% of the world debt, and the government owns that. While the U.S. economy entered a nosedive, another geopolitical event was unfolding, which exacerbated the economic freefall. In 1973, Syria and Egypt, backed by several Arab nations, launched an attack on Israel, which marked the beginning of the Yom Kippur War. The war placed increasing pressure on oil prices. And when the United States provided Israel with financial aid and arms, the Arab nations responded. In 1960, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries was formed. And so now they somewhat control the price of oil, basically by controlling the output of the nations involved there. Following U.S. provisions, Israel, resource-rich OPEC, placed an oil embargo on those that have aided Israel, including the United States, Britain, Canada, Japan, the Netherlands, and South Africa. By 1974, the price of oil quadrupled. So oil is a big thing. The price of oil is big. The petrodollar has since elevated the United States economically and politically throughout the world, but after years of unprovoked wars and geopolitical belligerence, U.S. influence is beginning to fade. Through the years, there has been a number of attempts to move away from the petrodollar system. Another strong advocate of change away from the petrodollar is Russia, which suggested China and Japan to purchase oil in yen or yuan. And so China is now pushing a PetroYuan. Russia is also making moves which could have serious implications on the dollar. They're trying to move away from the U.S. dollar, which will collapse the U.S. dollar as a world reserve currency, which will collapse the U.S. because then if they can't print money out of thin air, they can't pay the interest on their $20 trillion debt, their 21% of the world debt. They can't pay interest on it because the U.S. dollar is going to be devalued. It's not going to be worth anything anymore to anybody. And this is all, on the biblical timeline for the countries coming together of the world to have a world government. You're going to see a collapse. And again, I've said it time and time again, I think an economic collapse is the one thing that catapults us into end-time prophecy. And we see China in a couple of months here looking to put a petro-yuan together to take over as the world reserve currency. That's what they're trying to do. I don't think they're going to get there, but they're going to have success in bringing the U.S. from a world reserve country, from a world superpower, down to its knees. And that's the large reason why the U.S. is not significantly in Bible prophecy. While few details of the crypto ruble are known, this is the cryptocurrency that Russia is trying to implement. So we're moving to cryptocurrencies. That is going to be the basis for the mark of the beast, a blockchain technology that's going to be built into whatever chip is in our right hand or forehead. The technology does seem to be blockchain based, as Putin has met with Ethereum and Waves advisors to build the platform. So he is moving, trying to get away from old-fashioned fiat currency, and that's the way the world is moving. So even if these countries aren't going against the U.S. and trying to knock them down by building their own PetroYuans, they're building their own cryptocurrencies, which is the obvious step for the next world currency. With these major moves from China and Russia, there is no doubt that the dollar will see downward pressure in the near future. As the world's major economies vie for geopolitical power, it's worth following the growing role of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in this story. So the PetroYuan is significant. It's going to take the U.S. out of being a world superpower. And then we will see the uniting of the world, one world government come to power, and that is exactly what Bible prophecy says is going to happen. So this is the most significant, I think, event probably in 2017, unless Israel gets the Temple Mount back or something like that. This is a game changer, and I didn't speak about it till now. So several others have. But this is a game changer in terms of world power, superpower status in the world. This is Bible prophecy unfolding before our eyes. We can see it happening. And what comes next? One world government, one world leader, and then the Antichrist can be revealed. So we're on the doorstep of these biblical events.